Hello, my name is Christian Pavlak, and I'm going to be your son or daughter's BC Calculus teacher during this semester, and I'm really looking forward to it. I want to welcome you to my home office. This is where I'm going to be teaching out of during this remote time. And I want to take some time to actually go and break down what this time will look like, this remote learning time, a breakdown of our curriculum, and give you a tour of kind of what is in store this semester. So let's begin. The materials I ask the students to have for the classroom, even though it is remotely, is the same as I would expect as if they were in the classroom. Pencil, preferably over a pen. I ask the students to have notebooks, or if there's any sort of packets for the homework, depending on what I publish. I do publish everything on Google Classroom, and I'll go over that later. A graphing calculator, a TI-83 or 84 is just fine. There are apps that let you emulate those. Calculate 84 is one of them. There is another one called Wabbit EMU. They're both great, but really the students should have a calculator of their own at this time. And then of course a Chromebook or another device. Now I know a lot of students are actually using their own personal computers or maybe a family computer, and I think that's just as great because you get a better resolution sometimes, and sometimes you just get better internet access. But if they are using the Chromebook, I ask them to keep it plugged in. And then in general, I do recommend that the students are using headphones. It helps them from being distracted, and it also helps them be really just engaged with how the lesson is going. And then in general, I just often tell the students to keep their microphones initially off because I just don't want any audio from the students coming in while I'm trying to teach. It helps other students also focus. The typical classroom structure, and the students have gotten used to this, is about 15 minutes at the beginning of class to answer questions from homework, and then about 30 minutes of the actual lesson time. And then if we ever finish early, which we don't often do, I will allow them to go ahead and start working on their homework. Because of the unique structure of Zoom, students can ask questions in two different ways. One of the ways would be when I pause in the middle of a problem or at the end of a problem, and a student can ask if they unmute themselves and just announce the question to the class. Another option is just in the chat, and some students have been utilizing this more because it allows the students to ask questions privately. That way, students often have a apprehension to ask questions publicly. So when they ask it privately, I'll still answer it, and that way I get actually more questions. And then in general, I do take attendance, and I ask the students to be on time. I take attendance right at the beginning of class, so I will mark students tardy if they are not there within the first minute or so of class. Homework. Students have been submitting homework via Google Classroom. I do ask the students to take a picture of their notes and their homework upon submission. I did give them a few suggestions to download Google Classroom actually on a cell phone. You just get a better picture, better resolution, and it's actually easier than using your Chromebook. And these are some other suggestions I gave to the students, but it's pretty typical. You'll see the students taking pictures of their homework to submit online. Quizzes and tests. So we're giving out more information as we go because of the unique structure, and to kind of mitigate any sort of cheating, we are sort of adapting it day by day, quiz by quiz, to give students an opportunity to really prove their comprehension authentically, and not possibly using any sort of other resources. So, like I said, my entire structure is through Zoom. Students can just sign in. They don't have to create an account. They already have an account through Lake Park. And it's always the same room number and the same code number. And I tell the students to just save and bookmark this, so that way in order to join the class, all they have to do is click and they are in. Some expectations that I have told the students, and I want all of you to know as well, is please be aware of the surroundings that the student will have, that they are school appropriate. So that way there are no posters that are possibly inappropriate, they're not wearing any sweatshirts or anything that's inappropriate. In general, like I said, I have them keep their mic off unless they have something to say or contribute to discussion. And then this is our classroom until we are back in person. So most importantly, I ask everyone to respect everyone else, me, and of course, follow the Lancer expectations. In addition, I want everyone here to know that I am recording each lesson. The reason for that is I want students to have access to these lessons outside of the remote time in case they want to rewatch a lesson or they miss a lesson. And everything's getting posted both on Google Classroom and YouTube. So I do ask the students to be cognizant of the questions and comments during those videos. The support that I have for the students is one, math tutoring is available each period. There is a link that I posted on Google Classroom for that room, or they can easily meet with me during third period. That's when I'm in math tutoring, or before school. During third period, I'm in that math tutoring link, or before school, I'm in my Zoom classroom, accessible to any students. I always do ask the students to email me if there's any problems, and we can resolve them together if they cannot meet with me. And then lastly, utilize all the resources. They're going to be in college in about a year, and they have to be able to utilize any resources that are available to them. So YouTube, Khan Academy, using their textbook, they're all fantastic as far as providing instruction or just guidance, and then being able to learn how to use their resources efficiently will make them a much more efficient learner when they get to college. So although this is a little different than usual, we actually have assignments as 100%. We don't have weighted categories. So quizzes, they typically are about 15 points, the take-home quizzes. The tests vary from 60 points to 90 points depending on how much information. I do have a late policy for homework. It's 10 points for full credit, and then 4 points credit if they're 1 day late, but beyond that, there is no late credits. A message I've been emphasizing to my students is that true success requires a little struggle. So I tell my students, do not use this time as an excuse to not do your best, okay? Some students will, and then they'll blame this time later. Instead, I want them to give it their best, so that way they stand above and beyond other students. I tell them, yes, it is different, but they should be able to get used to it. It's going to be a part of their careers one day. It's this remote learning structure, or remote working structure, collaborative structure, is going to be part of their lives, and it's just important to find ways to utilize it efficiently. I always tell them, please be patient with me, and I'll be patient with them, and I ask the same of you. And then lastly, always strive to do the best and not give half the credit. So that means avoiding distractions on your own. So that means putting away the phone, avoiding opening up other tabs on the computer, and really focusing on what we're doing in the class. So this is what our BC Calculus Google Classroom looks like. It's a live stream of everything we do in this class. So this is where I post assignments, I will post the assignment sheet, and I also post videos of our lessons. This way, students have that opportunity to re-watch a lesson or just watch it in case they missed a lesson. But here, it's basically all-in-one information of what to expect for the class. I also do post PDFs of the textbook in case they don't have access for the time being. And it's also where they will be submitting their homework. There's a classwork tab, and that's where they take pictures and submit them. So right now, what you see is how I actually teach. I actually have an overhead shot of my iPad when I'm teaching, and it's going to look something like this. So this is what the students see when I am presenting a lesson. What I do is I actually record everything via my OneNote, and it's all on my iPad. Now, the reason I choose this versus a screen capture is I feel like I have a better opportunity to point at things throughout the lesson. It may not be as great resolution, but I do feel the more animated the lesson, the more engaged the student can be. And everything eventually is posted, and this just provides more opportunities for the student to really follow along with the lesson versus just watching a typical video. And finally, if there are any questions, please communicate that with me as soon as possible. I ask the same thing from the students. My email is cpawlak@lphs.org. Or if you just want to provide me some feedback or information about your child, I really do appreciate it. An open line of communication between you and I really gives your child the best opportunities if there's something I need to know. So I just want to say thank you one more time for joining me. I look forward to working with your child this semester, and hopefully we'll be back in the classroom very soon.